Hello, everyone. This is Tony with DBAT. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Wanted to spend a little bit of time with you today just to go over the possible scenarios for the high school and middle school baseball and softball players and what the next few months may hold for that. The first scenario basically is based upon the current information that we have today. Our social distancing is continued through May 1st, and all of our spring sports have been postponed, not canceled yet, but just postponed through May 1st. The first scenario would be that we would continue having spring sports and they would start sometime in May. So, as a baseball or softball player, one of the things I have to do is keep myself ready to play and ready to ramp up very quickly and ready to go in the beginning of May. So, one of the things you want to do, number one, is make sure that you are following any information or any guidance you've received from your high school coach. Next, you want to make sure you're spending a good 4 to 5 to maybe even 6 days a week working out and training at this point. If you're currently in your high school or middle school season, you'd be playing 4 to 5, maybe even 6 days a week, depending on the week. So you want to have that much activity going on at this point in time. You want to also make sure that you utilize activities that reinforce ramping up very quickly to play, and that would include how you lift and how you prepare. So first, let's talk about how you may do some lifting just to keep your strength up at this point. And we would want to perform what we'd call maintenance lifting at this point. And as part of that 4 to 5, 6 days a week, 1 or 2 days those week, you want to make sure you're doing some lifting. If you want to work a third lighter day in, it's a possibility, but at least a couple days a week would be great. You're looking at low weights, high repetition, and working your major muscle groups, those type of things. And for anything specific that you may not have from your high school coach, please feel free to contact your DBAT instructor for any information. You want to do some baseball specific drills from the standpoint of throwing, hitting, and fielding and those type of things. And you also want to do perform some conditioning and agility drills. The conditioning and agility drills you want to do as a part of your routine, and you want to do them pretty much when you're done with either your maintenance lifting or you're done with your throwing or hitting or fielding type drills. That would be a very beneficial time to do that conditioning and agility. Again, you can receive any of those type of drills or any of that type of information from your DBAT instructor in case you need it. Now, from a standpoint of having some specific things to guidelines to follow from a throwing, hitting, and fielding standpoint during this month of April, a couple things you want to make sure you do. And you want to be creative as possible as you can to throw. If you have a partner, that's great. Get yourself outside and go through your normal warm up, your normal throwing routine, your normal throwing drills, so on and so forth. If you can't get outside, be creative in building yourself something to throw into, whether it be a fence, a net, a canvas, an old tarp, a couple of old blankets, anything you can to utilize to help get some throwing in. And you want to make sure you do go through all the drills that either you may have specifically from your high school coach or the drills that you've gone through with your DBAT instructor. And again, if you need any information on that, please see your DBAT instructor for additional info. If you are a pitcher from a throwing standpoint, you want to make sure that you get yourself on the hill a couple times a week. One of those with being 3 days rest and one of those with being 4 days rest. On the day with 3 days rest, you want to do your normal warm-ups. You want to go through your J-band routine. You want to go through your dynamic stretching. You want to go through your throwing warm-up and your throwing drills, and then do yourself a nice light bullpen. On the day when you have 4 days rest on that second day of the week that you'd be throwing, you want to make sure that you get yourself through all of your dynamic stretching, your J-band routine, your throwing warm-ups and drills, and then you want to simulate yourself on the mound for about 3 innings or so, giving yourself somewhere between 15 and 18 pitches and making sure that you're getting yourself A good healthy set of innings in, a good little healthy lather going, and some good throwing. Make sure you give yourself half innings off in between each inning to allow your team to, quote, simulate hitting and give yourself a little break. Then get yourself back out there, go through your 5 to 8 warm up pitches, and then throw your inning. So, from a standpoint of a pitcher, that's how you can keep yourself ready just in case things ramp up very quickly again in May. From a hitting standpoint, on any of the days where you're going to be working with hitting, make sure you're going through all your warm up drills again, dynamic stretches, etc., etc. And make sure you're doing any T work that you may have done with your school or T work you may have done with your DBAT instructor. And work yourself into a nice soft toss routine, as well as you can get somebody to throw behind an L screen to you. That's even better. That's great. But again, if you have to be creative, make yourself a place to hit and to help yourself to get as many swings in as possible. And if you can get a partner to work with out of the field, that's even better. From a fielding standpoint, again, if you can get out to the field with a partner, that's great. Get some ground balls in, get some fly balls in, and work your mechanics. But most notably, as an infielder, make sure you're working your hands and your feet work, and you're working those things that really you need to just stay sharp with from a day-to-day standpoint. So again, footwork, hands, some short tosses, so on and so forth. Keep working all those things that you normally would. In the outfield, again, you're going to be working on your crow hop, getting into that nice power position, so on and so forth, and working your hips. So make sure you guys are really working those drills. And again, on any of these areas, please contact your DBAT instructor for information that you may not have from your high school coach. Looking at the next set of scenarios, um, things we want to look at are basically what happens if our spring season is canceled. If the spring season is canceled and it looks like our summer season is going to start on or about June 1st or a little bit past that, then again, we want to utilize May, very similar to what we did with April. But the first 2 weeks of May, we want to have a little heavier concentration on lifting and conditioning just to ensure that our bodies are staying in peak physical condition. The first 2 weeks, we want to be a little heavier on our weights, a little bit heavier or a little bit lower on our repetitions, and basically just put a little bit more time and effort into that lifting and conditioning for those first couple weeks. The second couple weeks, then in May, we go right back to all of our continuous baseball activities, and we go back to all of our maintenance lifting. Again, during those first 2 weeks, we are doing a little bit more in the way of lifting, but we still are doing our baseball specific type of work. We're just doing a little bit less of it. The next scenario is if that summer baseball is postponed to honor about July 1st or somewhere on about past that, meaning obviously the spring season had been canceled and our summer season is being postponed. We want to treat June very, very similar to how we treat May. The same thing in the first 2 weeks with a little bit of heavier on the lifting, and then going back to a little bit more baseball specific on those second 2 weeks. The last scenario is a scenario that we hope does not happen, and that is no spring baseball and no summer baseball. If that does happen, then we want to take advantage of that in a different way. Starting on or about July 1st, we would know that by then at that point. We want to really have a good 7 or 8 weeks of getting bigger, stronger, faster, and more explosive. We want to work on a lot of lifting. We want to lift for strength. We want to lift for explosiveness. And we want to basically go back to higher weights, lower reps, multiple sets, all muscle groups, and basically also start working with a lot more explosiveness with regards to other things in the way of the broad jump and the tuck jumps and so on and so forth. But basically, we're going to back down on any baseball specific work for about 7 or 8 weeks. So from about July 1st till about that third or fourth week of August, we're going to get very, very strong into lifting and stronger, bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. In that third week or so of August, that's when you really want to bring back into the baseball specific works and bring back in throwing again. And just slowly ramp yourself up to throwing again, as we would assume is if there's no spring or summer baseball, that our high school coaches will be utilizing probably the third week or so on of September through the end of October to really do some good outside work and utilize those open fields to get as much work done in as possible based upon what has happened in the previous months. So hope everybody is doing well. Keep yourself safe. If you have any questions, please contact your DBAT instructor, and we'll help you in any way we can with regards to setting up anything specific for you to do for any of your training to keep yourself nice and sharp. So take care. Hope everyone stays safe again, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.